Shabbat Shalom. A few weeks ago, in the middle of teaching a tribe Torah study, someone raised their hand with that unmistakable look that said, "I have something really important to add." As a teacher, I love that moment. I called on him, expecting something thoughtful about Pirkei Avot. Instead, he asked, very sincerely, "What made you want to become a female rabbi?" I was instantly transported back to my middle school teaching days, when a student would eagerly wave their hand in the air and after built-up anticipation ask, "Can I get a drink of water?" This interruption was different. It didn't derail the lesson like that did. It derailed me. If he had asked what made me want to become a rabbi, I would have an answer to that question, despite the fact that it wasn't the right time. But that wasn't the question. The question was why I wanted to become a female rabbi. I found myself wondering, would he have asked a male rabbi what made him want to become a male rabbi? Probably not, I imagine. The assumption was that rabbi already meant male. My gender became the story before my calling did. The irony was that we were studying Pirkei Avot, our book of Jewish ethics. We were reading teachings I returned to again and again. Say little, do much. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, what am I? These are some of the rabbinic teachings that I treasure the most. But I also made a choice. I hadn't taught a different teaching from that very same chapter. The first half of the Mishnah, the teaching, is beautiful. May your home be open wide. May the poor be members of your household. It's generous, inclusive, ethical wisdom. Also give us something that feels deeply patriarchal, and to many of us, simply wrong. So what do we do when the same tradition that gives us extraordinary wisdom also gives us something that makes us feel uncomfortable? The person who asked the question in Torah study probably never imagined that he gave me the opening to a sermon. His question reminded me that sometimes the uncomfortable moments are the ones that invite us to go deeper. This week's double Torah portion, Matot Maseh, does something very similar. It opens with laws about vows. Numbers 30, verse 3 reads, "If anyone makes a vow to God or takes an oath imposing an obligation on themselves," At first, it sounds empowering. Your words matter. A promise is sacred. What leaves your lips carries weight. But then the Torah tells us that a young woman's vow can be annulled by her father, and a married woman's vow can be annulled by her husband. Once again, the Torah elevates human responsibility and then immediately limits who fully counts. Sam Shankoff of Stanford Hillel begins an article about the Parsha titled "Coping with Complexity" by admitting, "The child in me wants to hide Parshat Matot and Parshat Maseh in a dusty attic somewhere. So many of their words are disillusioning, disturbing, and embarrassing." I resonate with that. Sometimes I read these verses and feel a pit in my stomach. Part of me wants to skip ahead, fast forward, to move on and ignore it, or close the book altogether. But that wouldn't be very Jewish. We often assume that faith means certainty. I have faith and I am certain about it. But I think Judaism suggests something else. Judaism asks us not to look away. It's a religion of action. Instead of ignoring these passages, we study them, we wrestle with them. We allow them to challenge us, and we allow them to change us. And then we ask, what do they demand of us today? We could simply quote the beautiful parts of Pirkei Avot, which we do often, pick and choose, and then leave the uncomfortable ones behind. We could race through this week's Torah portion reading and pretend that those laws were never there. But if we did, we would lose something essential. At the same time, studying these texts does not mean accepting every value that they reflect. These passages were written in a particular time and place. These passages reveal not only timeless wisdom, but also the assumptions and limitations of the societies in which they came to us. Our task as Jews is not to freeze our tradition in time, nor judge the past as though we ourselves are beyond criticism. Biblical scholar Jacob Neusner captures this sentiment in his commentary. We note, alas, an attitude we cannot wish away, namely, a low regard for women. It is indefensible. It is not one of the ornaments of this otherwise blameless text. It is there, part of its day, not ours, a reminder that we too have a contribution to make to the tradition of Judaism. In our day, we can and shall attain full equality for women in the life of Jewish religion and of the Jewish people. I love that phrase. We too have a contribution to make to the tradition of Judaism. Judaism is not only something we inherit. It's not something that we read and simply accept, nor that we read and throw away or walk away from. It's something that we can shape. L'dor v'dor, every generation receives Torah, but every generation is also responsible for what Torah becomes in its own time. And what's Torah going to become in our time? That means celebrating the passages that inspire us while refusing to hide the ones that unsettle us. It means studying Torah, learning from those who came before us, and allowing the difficult texts to challenge us to build a more just world. We don't grow when we're comfortable. Like every meaningful relationship, our relationship with Torah asks us to love honestly enough to wrestle. The truth is, all of us have chapters we'd rather skip. There are parts of our own stories we wish weren't there, parts of our families that make us uncomfortable, moments in our communities we'd rather forget, even parts of ourselves that sometimes we wish to hide. Growing and healing, they don't come from tearing out those pages. They come from reading them honestly, learning from them, and deciding that the next chapter will be better. We are the future that gets to decide where the conversation goes. My prayer for us on this Shabbat is that we have the courage not to turn the page too quickly, whether in Torah, in history, or in our own lives. May we see ourselves in our place in the text, celebrating what is beautiful, engaging with what is difficult, and allowing all of it to move us forward with greater understanding, compassion, and hope. Shabbat Shalom.